Messieurs, dames, signore e signori, ladies and gentlemen, I would invite you to take your seats, and I see that there's still more excitement in the room. Just as a spoiler, we will have other occasions to chat and network tomorrow as well. I hope that you've had enough and as much enjoyment as I have from these two parallel sessions. And welcome back to the plenary session, where we will hear the debriefs from two of our rapporteurs on the two sessions, Earth to Space and Space to Earth. For everybody's benefit, we have about 5 speakers left, and we will now benefit from a brief summary of the discussions that we've heard so far. And we'll begin with Roberto Mazzolin of the Rhea Group to report on Stream 1 from Earth to Space. And he'll be followed by Pietro, CTO of IBM Italy, to report on Stream 2 from Space to Earth. Following that, we'll have some closing remarks and then some housekeeping again. So Roberto, please join us on stage for some reporting on Stream 1. Thank you.
Okay, just finished our session. There's so much material to digest. I'd say in the interest of 5 to 5 in the afternoon, when people's fun meters are pegged, there's probably 2 key principles to public speaking here. It's be brief and be gone. So I'll try to adhere to that. So very quickly, we offered 2 questions to our panelists, and they did an incredible job responding to them in very quick fashion. First one was, how much, in your opinion, is space exploration relying on non-space technologies and competencies to further advance and accelerate the design of new missions? And are they taking advantage of an open innovation approach in the business? That was the first question. And ostensibly, we had a tremendous presentation from Dr. Mazzini, who really, as part of the Italia Space Lab, he really illuminated the number of technologies that there's the obvious ones, in terms of, food and earth and manufacturing and whatnot, but really illuminated the different technologies that actually have been used on Earth and are being applied in space, and also the need for the development of new types of technologies as well. And that came out through a number of the panel speakers as well. I mean, one was talking about in terms of, development of photonic networks that are applicable in space. There was a variety of other issues that came about. Really, it's another common theme that came out was the variety in the application of artificial intelligence in outer space, and consistent with the theme of the conference, the importance of the integrity of artificial intelligence in support of decision making in terms of mission critical systems, be it manufacturing, processing, and whatnot. So really emphasize that, and that makes sense when you're looking at building systems on remote planets and in very distant areas where you cannot simply get to the devices to repair them. It also reinforced the issues of processing of data. This came up as a common theme, and the importance of having a human in the loop. That although we have many new different types of sensors, communication networks, abilities to be able to sense various things in outer space, the importance fundamentally of maintaining the human in the loop in some ways in terms of validating the integrity of the data and assuring that, which also touched on a number of elements related to cybersecurity, if you will. We explored to some extent some of the manufacturing techniques that would be undertaken in space. So a lot of the capabilities that have been in place on Earth, in the automotive manufacturing sectors, it was interesting to see how many of those principles are being developed and applied in outer space, and also further refined in light of the bespoke space technologies that need to be developed, and also as a means of collaboration within an open market. So we're again reinforcing the issue of an open architectures and open innovation approach in terms of being able to bring together collaborative partners in this new area. So that was another important areas. And again, we I'd have to reinforce just the eclectic variety of manufacturing and technologies that had not been anticipated. It was quite illuminating from that perspective. So the yes to the open innovation piece. The second question related to the space economy and the socioeconomic impact that has on our current society. You know, historically, the digital revolution that had an impact on analog and traditional businesses. You know, the question is, are we seeing the shifting the digital economy needs? For example, cybersecurity, flexibility, computation, you know, to space, kind of the inverse. And it kind of touches on the theme this morning that Mr. Bain had offered in terms of, you know, this is the economy, is in outer space. So again, a number of areas that we talked on. It was we were touched upon the themes that came across: the inherent trust in the systems that are supporting the space economy, the issues of, you know, of the capabilities of the sensor systems. For example, satellite resolution, the different types of forms of data, you know, that are being used, and being able to communicate that back to Earth. So when we start looking at developing a World Wide Web, there's some technology, not only technological limitations in regards to the ability to communicate with an outer space web, if you will, to terrestrial players here on Earth, but there's also a conceptual limitation. Again, people, you know, being perhaps the bottleneck in this. You know, the focus is on people, process, and technologies, and people are often focusing on processes and technology, but the importance of being able to facilitate human understanding of what is going on in terms of being able to synthesize these volumes of data and put it in such a form that is understandable and decisions can be made. So again, these related to the technical parameters of the speed of connectivity. We likened as part of the discussion that historically data processing communication channels were, you know, Shannon's law and the issue of, you know, digital encoding and error correction techniques. Now it's almost like a new dimension of that we have to do is being able to validate the data that comes across, and there's a conceptual piece there. So another element. So again, you know, the space being revolutionized by the volume of data that's coming in, that is coming across. We focused on other elements that came environment, emphasized the harsh environment in space, the requirement for more flexible payloads, the ability to be able to deploy these at scale and large scale, which drives an issue of security by design and of fundamental importance, and also ensuring that security is an inherent quality as part of the deployment of a system. And then again, we were looking at legal impetus for governments, you know, directing the security of these systems out in outer space. So much of our critical infrastructure that supports our societal resiliency and our government legitimacy is now going into commercial hands. There's actually very important to ensure that there's, you know, legal responsibilities in regards to securing that environment. Many other points here, but I'd say in the interest of time, one key point that was made and was offered by our friend Dr. Mazzini, you know, is that there's many technologies that are not yet developed, but the one that has not yet been developed, it's probably the most important one, is that of worldwide cooperation. When we start looking at the global commons. Now there are no defined borders, and we see that, and it's a competition for geospatial or strategic presence and influence among major powers. And we have many new up and emerging players coming about. It really emphasizes the need to be able to put some common guidelines and rules, or adapt a new rule-making environment in this new global commons. You know, we've had traditional approaches when we were in institutional space, the international regulatory environment that was in place before, now perhaps is somewhat dated. So it really requires government, industry to work together, and also collaborative. And this is probably one of the themes for this conference, you know, Canada, Italy, two nations of like minds and values in terms of being able to identify manners by which we can promote an environment, international environment that provides the free use of space in a positive manner. So with that, that's the quick burst. Just very quickly, Anil, as the session coordinator, or Dr. Mazzini, did you have any other comments that you wish to avoid, or have we captured it suitably? Okay, thank you very much. Grateful for your indulgence.
Pietro, if you can make your way to the stage. So please welcome Pietro Leo to report on stream number 2 for today's sessions.
Great. So I will try to take a short as possible this part. But let's say unfortunately, half of you did not, let me say, enjoyed, I think, the last 2 hours. Or let's say, since the event in which I participated was quite helpful. It was like a party. I don't know if here you had the same feeling, no? No, I'm joking, but let me say, we did a lot of, let's say, opportunity to see a lot of things, and we saw a perspective that we can summarize in a very simple equation. Not only the last 2 hours, a couple of hours, but also the full days from my point of view. And we are shifting in such a sense from some sort of plus, where plus could be space, could be cybersecurity, could be everything else, plus AI, to a world in which we have some sort of AI plus. AI is becoming the center of gravity of a number of things. And this was basically what emerged from the day today, and also for the specifically to the section that I had the possibility to attend and coordinated by Gerard, where the use case, the problem started at the center and explored how artificial intelligence is starting to give a benefit. So starting from the method to solve the problem in such a sense. We saw a number of applications. Interesting, perhaps the starting one that is a story of already in place collaboration between Italy and Canada, started with a very interesting number, 98%. 98% is the cost reduction of this collaboration between Italian, Canada on a specific problem they achieved, in particular let's say, in cost to estimate the damages of buildings from image satellites. This is very interesting that Latitude 40, jointly with Deloitte and jointly with Canada did. A very simple exercise, but very interesting of how to combine two things. The raw data coming from the satellite and the post-elaboration of, thanks to an AI algorithm that improved the accuracy of reduced the cost to elaborating this raw data. So this is one of the possible synergy that you have to find, say, possible collaboration with these two apparently fields, how to improve each other, let me say. After that, we learned that the data is the king. Data is the king means that we can have a huge quantity of data to train to our algorithm, but the point is that the quality matters. So if we learned from you in particular that if you have, the issue is to not only to accumulate data, but to filter, to curate such a mass of data to generate much more flexible and quickly models. So this is another call for action for collaborations. Who is going to curate those data? No? Since if the competitiveness between Italy and Canada, here we are here for collaborating, but we are also in competition for another field, starts from creating the new, let me say, battlefield, let me say, the battlefield of the data. And if we can create in a collaborative way a new kind of repository in a shared way, we can go much more quick in a downstream task, let me say, to re-elaborate those data for multiple purposes. We learned during the presentation another important concept, a very good critical mass of the applications that leverage the combination of AI and space in our environment, to check our environment from multiple perspectives. Check the environment means to estimate the risk to which we are exposed, our organization, ourselves as individuals. So estimating the risk of our action is let's say a foundational element to drive, to optimize an action, and so on and so on. And apparently, let me say, now working inside the space means to estimate the risk, but who is the company or the category of a company that is has this in its DNA? An insurance company. So we learned from the insurance companies, let's say, that they are moving to considering the space, so moving basically their observation eyes above our head could be another perspective to do in a much more better way their job, to estimate the risk in that case, but also to add new product, new services, and so on and so on. Another interesting thing that we learned, I took a lot of things, is that estimating a risk into the environment could be a number of consequences. And we learned, and probably you in Canada, you listen, let me say, the problem that we have been unfortunately exposed during some regions in Italy has been exposed for flooding during a few months ago in Bologna, but also more recently in Tuscany. The climate change and multiple other reasons are contributing to make our environment much more fragile. So we are not only an aging population, but we are an aging, let me say, environment. So having more accurate ways to, let's say, to predict and to estimate the risk about the environment is not only a matter of, let me say, to have a new product, a new risk-based product, and so on, but also to save our lives. So there is a call for action, second call for action here. There is the need to preserve our territory, our environment, and we have in a joint way in Canada and Italy the space to collaborate on this kind of field. Another interesting, after that we moved to another part of the story. We moved from the environment to the ecosystem. We live in an environment, and when we think to the environment, we think to the space in which we live in terms of concrete things, but we live not alone here. We live and we are not only interconnected as humans, but we live in a natural context that makes, let me say, also other living beings. So we learned another interesting concept, which is the One Health concept. One Health concept means that the health of everybody, each of us, each individual, depends not only from the health of the guys that is just close to us, and we learned during the COVID how it is important to preserve all of us as a collectivity. But we learned that also preserve biodiversity, even into a city that we do not note. Into a city, it is very important. So we learned that the space can here leverage to, let me say, to open our eyes to monitor the biodiversity and even the urban biodiversity. We learned from an interesting project from Taranto a city which is in South Italy, an interesting project where they are putting together, assembling a number of data in a very interesting, let's say, cross fashion way, mixing public health data, environment data, pollution, form of pollution like light pollution, noise pollution, and they are trying to demonstrate creating some sort of a new generation of digital twin of a city, of this environment, that we can, let's say, leverage this kind of complexity to support better decision. And finally, we learned that we need to preserve, not only integrate good data and preserve our health, but we should be also resilient. And we learned from an interesting perspective from humanities, from bound two perspectives. What it means preserve or be more resilient from when we are discussing about health. Resiliency means to cope with the disaster, and in this case, the space is coming to help. In this case, when we are in front of a disaster, we need to shift, we need to compensate, we have to duplicate things, and we learned how to even in a medicine context, we are able to create much more resilient applications. And also, finally, last speaker introduced an interesting concept, is autonomous hospital. What is an autonomous hospital? We are going to, we learned this morning that we are sending people on the moon to live for a while. I don't know for how many years, but they need everything. So it's possible to have an hospital in one box. This is perhaps the answer that I learned, and it is a very fascinating topic that we learned that beautiful project took here in Canada. So this is more or less what I learned, and I enjoyed it as the 5th edition to stay here in this beautiful country and city.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leo. I would like to now introduce Madame Laurence Fouquette-L'Anglais, Déléguée du Québec à Rome, for some closing remarks.
Monsieur le Consul général d'Italie à Montréal, Madame la directrice générale de la Chambre de commerce italienne au Canada, distingués invités, distinguished guests, illustri ospiti. C'est un plaisir pour moi de m'adresser à vous aujourd'hui en guise de clôture de cette formidable première journée marquée par des présentations et des discussions qui m'ont permis de constater tout le dynamisme et la raison d'être de ce forum d'affaires. I'm delighted to have the honor to conclude the first day of this 5th edition of the Canada-Italy Business Forum on AI and Space Economy. À titre de nouvelle déléguée du Québec à Rome, laissez-moi vous exprimer mon enthousiasme face à ce mandat qui vient de m'être confié par le gouvernement du Québec. Toute l'effervescence que j'ai pu constater aujourd'hui alimente effectivement ma motivation à travailler encore davantage à fortifier la relation déjà solide entre le Québec et l'Italie. Quebec can count on one of the most cutting-edge AI and aerospace ecosystem. My role will be, among other things, to make this ecosystem better known to business partners in Italy in order to further stimulate collaboration between our companies, our startups, and our research centers. Je suis profondément convaincue que l'Italie est un partenaire d'exception pour le Québec, grâce à ses expertises en économie de l'espace, évidemment, et à la communauté de recherche active sur laquelle elle peut compter dans le domaine spatial, ainsi que dans le domaine, évidemment, de l'intelligence artificielle. Nos expertises sont complémentaires et les bénéfices que nous pouvons en retirer à collaborer sont infinis. J'oserais dire, ils sont à explorer, tout comme l'espace dont nous avons discuté aujourd'hui. Donc, le Québec est présent, en fait, en Italie, peut-être que vous ne le savez pas, mais depuis presque 60 ans. C'est une amitié qui s'inscrit dans le temps. Et c'est une amitié, en fait, qui se fortifie grâce à des relations institutionnelles fortes et qui sont ancrées dans de nombreuses collaborations multisectorielles. Les entreprises québécoises et italiennes, ainsi que les institutions et les organisations, peuvent compter sur le soutien constant de la délégation du Québec à Rome et maintenant de son antenne commerciale à Milan dans la réalisation de leurs projets et dans la recherche de partenariats bilatéraux. Je me permets aussi de souligner la présence de la région Emilia-Romagna qui joue un rôle central dans ce forum. L'Émilie-Romagne représente l'une des régions prioritaires de l'action du Québec en Italie et plus particulièrement en Europe. Donc, le Québec et l'Émilie-Romagne se ressemblent à bien des égards et partagent des forces communes, notamment dans le domaine, évidemment, de l'intelligence artificielle, je le répète, mais aussi dans le domaine du quantique ou même dans l'adaptation au changement climatique. Ce sont des domaines qui méritent d'être mis en valeur pour favoriser les collaborations de part et d'autre de l'Atlantique. Et nous travaillons d'ailleurs actuellement à officialiser une collaboration multisectorielle très prochainement. Donc, en bon français, stay tuned, ça s'en vient. Finalement, en terminant, je veux remercier chaleureusement la Chambre de commerce italienne au Canada pour l'organisation impeccable de ce forum. Plus particulièrement, j'espère qu'elle me pardonnera de saisir cette tribune, mais j'aimerais souligner l'apport exceptionnel de Danielle Virone durant son mandat à la tête de la Chambre de commerce italienne. Oui, applaudissons-la. Merci beaucoup. Donc voilà, Danielle, tu es une grande alliée depuis toujours du ministère des Relations internationales et de la francophonie, évidemment de la délégation du Québec à Rome. Je ne pense pas que je dévoile de grands secrets de polichinelle en disant que tu nous quitteras malheureusement prochainement, mais pour une retraite bien méritée et je suis convaincue en fait là, que même à ta retraite, tu continueras de collaborer et de contribuer au renforcement des relations Québec-Italie. Alors un grand merci pour tout ce que tu as fait. C'est vraiment formidable. Et d'ailleurs, ton successeur et moi, là, nous allons certainement être là pour consolider ce qui a déjà été mis en place et pour développer plus avant cette formidable collaboration et ces liens très forts qui nous unissent. Ces liens, nous les avons forgés au fil de nombreuses années d'échanges, de partenariats. Nos économies, elles ont besoin de marchés développés pour prospérer. Nos chercheurs ont besoin de travailler au sein des meilleures équipes internationales. Nos artistes et nos créateurs s'inspirent les uns des autres. Nous sommes en mesure de trouver, grâce à nos échanges, des solutions toujours plus innovantes pour relever les défis auxquels nos sociétés sont confrontées. Alors aujourd'hui n'était que la première journée de ce forum. Je ne pourrai malheureusement pas être avec vous demain, mais je vous souhaite de fructueux échanges, d'intéressantes discussions et voilà, longue vie à ce partenariat. Merci beaucoup, grazie mille et buona serata a tutti.
Merci beaucoup, Madame Fouquette-L'Anglais. C'est avec plaisir que j'invite Monsieur Enrico Pavone, Consul Général or Consul General of Italy in Montreal, to take the stage, please.
Madame la déléguée du Québec a Rome, signora segretario generale della Camera di Commercio Italiana per il Canada, rappresentanti delle autorità regionali e locali italiane e canadesi, rappresentanti delle imprese, delle università et des centri di ricerca et distinti partecipanti. C'est un plaisir pour moi de participer pour la première fois à cet événement qui en est à sa 5e édition cette année. Je tiens d'abord à remercier, comme tout le monde, la Chambre de commerce italienne au Canada pour l'organisation de ce qui est devenu désormais un rendez-vous traditionnel et très apprécié et très attendu. The approach to the future of the space economy and the development of technological solutions such as AI that enable it to develop to its full potential must take into account the rapidly changing international space environment, where competition is increasing and space activities are becoming more commercial with a greater involvement of the private sector. Major technological changes are greatly reducing costs, challenging the traditional models of the sector. The combination of space data and digital technologies creates a very significant business opportunity for all countries.
We have seen today that the artificial intelligence has a key role to play in how we will face future challenges and how we want to approach space economy. La diffusion de l'intelligence artificielle est au cœur d'une transformation radicale des processus industriels, du commerce et de l'économie, ainsi que des relations entre les personnes. En Italie, nous disposons de la puissance informatique nécessaire pour jouer un rôle de premier plan dans cette révolution technologique en cours. Comme vous le savez, en novembre 2022, le supercalculateur européen Leonardo, financé par l'entreprise commune de l'Union européenne Euro-HPC et Cineca, et situé au Technopole de Bologne, a été officiellement inauguré. C'est un instrument vraiment extraordinaire, considéré comme le 4e superordinateur le plus puissant au monde. Nous disposons donc des compétences scientifiques, de recherche et d'expertise dans les disciplines qui conduisent à la configuration des modèles d'intelligence artificielle, en particulier dans nos départements universitaires et nos centres de recherche. Il est important de soutenir ces compétences et de veiller à ce qu'elles deviennent une valeur d'entreprise et une valeur économique, même à travers une collaboration internationale croissante, comme nous l'avons témoigné aujourd'hui. Italy, as far as the space economy is concerned, has a crucial role in international space policy and is a leading member of the European Union and the European Space Agency. We have therefore played a central role in the elaboration of the current space strategy for Europe, which was launched in 2016, as well as the new fully integrated space program for the period 2021-2027, in which the EU has gathered all activities that are brought together in a single program that also includes a coherent investment framework. Italy emerges as a major player in technological innovation in space, demonstrating world-class skill in the design and development of advanced technologies, and occupying the 5th place for space innovation on the international scale. Moreover, it is one of the few nations in the world to have a space and aerospace sector characterized by a complete chain of products and services. The emergence of new small and medium-sized enterprises working in the production of satellites has made the sector particularly profitable, also in terms of its contribution to the Italian space economy. The presence of many delegations representing startups and SMEs are confirming my words, and I'm sure that these intense 2 days of work will result profitable for them as well. Italian universities and research centers' endeavors also contributed to place Italy as a major player in technological innovation in space. Important developments are seen in the design of technologies for space exploration and utilization. Thanks to its prolonged presence in the International Space Station, Italy completed numerous experiments in microgravity conditions, including activities in the field of biology, biotechnology, human research, technology development, and demonstration. In addition, in the context of the Lunar Gateway mission, several Italian companies are collaborating with the European Space Agency on the construction of lunar infrastructure. Indeed, the Italian participation in international space programs allows the country to achieve important results in the development of advanced technology. For example, in collaboration with NASA and the European Space Agency, the Italian Space Agency contributed to the creation of the scientific instruments used during the Cassini-Huygens mission, which studied Saturn and its system of rings and satellites. These and numerous other examples of initiatives and programs that aim to maximize the benefits of the space economy have been conceived and adopted with Italy's active involvement in the decision-making process and in implementation of them. The subject of the debate is in fact closely intertwined with the themes of the Italian Space Economy Strategic Plan, which envisages the development of value-added services based on satellite data, starting from user needs. Even though the space economy competition indubitably grew over the last decade, I strongly feel that cooperation will be the key for a prosperous future, and I hope that Italy, Canada, and Quebec will continue to work in an increasingly closer way in this domain. Strategic decisions are to be taken regarding international collaborations and alliances, and I hope that the collaborative approach that we have, which has inspired today's forum, will continue to guide us. And let me conclude by thanking you all once again and wishing you another pleasant and fruitful days of work tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Grazie mille, Console Pavone. Last but not least, I would like to invite Danielle to the stage for a few words. So Danielle Virone is the Executive Director of the Italian Chamber of Commerce in Canada, and we would not be here without her vision as well as relentless efforts. We've said it before, but thank you again, Danielle, also from the bottom of my heart. So please.
As Roberto said, I'll be brief and I'll be gone. And thank you so much for people that know me well. I'm not used to all this attention. So merci pour les bons mots de tout le monde. C'est grandement apprécié. Mesdames et messieurs, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, colleagues, participants, bonjour. I had a different speech, but I want to tell you that this is the result, the forum Canada-Italy is the result of incredible teamwork. We brought together busy people. We brought together passionate, devoted individuals that volunteer their expertise, their time, the effort, the energy. So this is, it's a result of incredible, and if I can leave some keywords with you this afternoon, teamwork, no matter what you do, is really incredible, and you can always make great achievements by working with your colleagues and your partners and your collaborators. We've had many collaborators, many partners stepping up to the plate and helping out last minute. We're a small organization, so we kept on making requests like over the weekend, and somehow people responded so willingly and with so much expertise and talent. So thank you for everyone involved. In particular, I'd like to thank the advisory board. We've had a good time. We've learned. It was a very not homogeneous group, let's put it this way. So many thanks to Roberto, to Anil, to Jared, to Pietro, and to Pierre-Philippe, PPL for the close friends. I would like to thank all the our world-class speakers, panelists, and moderators, the delegates. This year we've had over 50 people traveling to Montreal. That's a pretty impressive delegation, and they were representatives from various Italian regions, always, our founding, the founding region of the forum, Emilia-Romagna, but Calabria, and there were people that traveled from Rome, from Campania, from Basilicata, I have to say. So this was a very representative team that traveled here from academia, research centers, innovation, startups. It was really wonderful. Thank you for making the trip to Montreal. And also, thank you for the institutional support. We have our Consul General of Italy here in Montreal with us this afternoon. Thank you so much. We also had the ambassador this morning. They've been very, very supportive. Thank you to the Ministère des Relations internationales, la francophonie. Effectivement, depuis tout le temps, je suis fière de dire, je suis une amie de l'organisation. Merci de nous supporter. And also to Scotiabank, that believed in us and has been the official presenter of the past edition and this present edition. big thank to my chair and president, Carmine D'Argenio, who couldn't be here, but he'll be back tomorrow morning. All the members on my board of directors, several were in attendance today. My team, thank you so much. And why don't we get up and we do a nice round of applause. So I hope not to forget anyone. Monica, please. Ruggera. Help me out. Connie. Melisande, Linda, Roxy. Who am I missing, guys? Francesco is here. So thank you so much. And on this, have a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining us. And tomorrow we continue. There's going to be at 8:30 in the plenary, a great presentation from Emilia-Romagna on something that is really also an issue for Quebec. You know, we have a shortage of talent in Quebec. Italy has the same situation. We'll be talking in particular about the skills, the skill set and competencies required for the skills for space. So hope to see you in the morning. And then for the startups, will be an elevator pitch. Anil and Inga that I didn't mention. So sorry, Inga was not in the room. Roxy, I hadn't seen you before, and Inga, they'll be moderating that session bright and early at 8:30. So thank you again, and see you tomorrow then. Bye-bye.